Hi folks, Debbie Ray here, the Gardener Wife, here with a mid-spring tour of my kitchen garden. I'm starting out here by my apple trees because they are in full bloom and looking gorgeous, especially this first one here. Lots of blooms. I have 4 of these, different kinds. And then here is my culture bed, which we just finished building last year in the fall and just started planting then. My plan is to fill it mostly with berries. So I thought that the grape that I planted in the late fall had not made it, but look, there is some growth on here, so it's alive! Yay! So the grapevine is going to come back. Rhubarb plant is doing fine, and so is the currant that I planted. Got room for more, including the blackberries that I'll show you in a little while, ready to move over here. I know it's hard to get an idea of the layout here from my pictures that I post, so that's the gate coming in from the driveway. I still haven't put an arbor there. And here's the main part of the kitchen garden. And then to the left of it, there is the culture bed. And over there is the apple trees. And I'm facing south right now. So let's enter the kitchen garden. And right here to the left, first thing you see is the raspberry bed. Here I've done nothing yet, no weeding or pruning. The next bed is herbs and edible flowers. And herbs are coming in well. Nice surprise is that 3 parsley plants there among the mint have come back. Here's the 3rd. That's a biennial, and we had a mild winter, so it made it. Nice. Here's the blackberry I was telling you about. I was given one several years ago that I just parked here in this bed. And it has begun spreading, and now that I have a place to put it over there in the culture bed, I will do that soon, I hope. And the first bed to the right in my kitchen garden is the strawberry bed, right past the shed. And this year I finally got out here early and weeded it and mulched it, moved some of the plants around to space them better. So it's in great shape and already have 2 blooms. Here's one of them. And there's the other. I've given up on planting that top tier because the strawberry plants always die off in there, so I just sowed some kale seeds earlier, and those are popping up too. So after these fruit beds and the herb bed, we come to the main part of the kitchen garden, 6 raised beds where I grow annual vegetables each year, and they rotate around 2 beds at a time. First 2 beds here are legumes this year. So I've already planted snap peas. I usually do snow peas, but I had snap pea seeds, so that's what I planted. And I'm happy to say that this bird scare tape is working great because these seedlings have not been disturbed by those pesky birds. That's a great improvement over the last 2 years. So, and I call these the legume beds because they have peas in them now, and later I'm going to add green beans. Those for trellises over there are going to be moved here to this bed for the green beans to grow up them. And then in the other bed, that's where I'm going to put my favorite, which is Mrs. Green Beans. She's just waiting here. I haven't planted her head yet, but we'll stick her in the middle of this bed, and I'll put bamboo poles around her to form her skirt, and then plant the bean seeds. The beans will grow up and fill out her skirt. I do zinnias in this bed too, a little cutting garden, other fun stuff. So right now, there's cool crops planted in all of these beds. So these two legume beds have radishes and lettuces, things like that coming up. Here's the broccoli bed, which already has the seedlings in it for broccoli because those are cool season crops. Also have leek seedlings here, onion sets, and then I've sown seeds for Swiss chard and kale. And on this side, I have sown early season seeds for lettuce, radicchio, radishes, and beets. Some of those are coming up too. But later, when it's time for warm season crops, I will be growing cucumbers here and probably more lettuces to make sort of a salad bed. Then the last two beds are the tomato beds. I've marked where I will place the tomato plants with these large white stones. And these also have cool crops already sown and coming up in them. So this one on the left, well, it's got onion sets and it has seeds for mache and arugula. This bed, the seeds that are really coming up nicely here are mustard greens. And then back here, I did some spinach seeds. And that never does that great for me, but some of them are coming up. There you go. Along with those onion sets that I planted back here. And then finally, this container at the very back of the garden is where very early in the spring, as soon as I could get out here, I sprinkled some lettuce seeds, as I did in several other open spaces, and they're coming in nicely. So this is how the kitchen garden looks in mid-spring. This is the lull between the early spring planting and the late spring planting, when I will plant the warm season crops, which right now are hardening off. I'll show you that next. Here's the shade tent, mini greenhouse, where I am hardening off the warm season plants. These are things I just moved out here, I think about 4 days ago. So in 2 or 3 more days, I'll move them to the sun tent for further hardening off. But here are many of my tender annuals: tomatoes, tomatillos, ground cherries, different herbs. I sowed these basil. I need to thin them out. And parsley and celery are in here too, which could be out earlier as soon as they're hardened off. Calendula and other things. This is the sun tent, where I've moved things that started out in the shade tent. These guys are all pretty well hardened off, ready to move out when I have time to deal with them. I've got the geraniums I overwintered, some more cool season things, ornamental kale and red cabbage that I will probably plant in containers later. Those pansies. And this is where we finish the hardening off process. By the way, I'm very proud of the fact that 2 rosemary plants have survived the winter indoors. So they've hardened off in the 2 tents, and now I just have them out on the potting bench. Also out here on the driveway are my potato containers, planted just a few days ago. And now here's the last part, last one of my edible beds, an extension of the kitchen garden, asparagus. Coming up nicely. The ones on the edges were planted later, so I won't harvest them, but I'm going to come back out here and get the rest. So that's it, from the asparagus bed to the driveway beyond there, kitchen garden, fruit trees. Hope you enjoyed the tour of the Shea Ray kitchen garden. Thanks for watching.